What's going on, guys? It's your boy Anime Hero back at you again with another review. So today we are going to be talking about Violet Evergarden. You know, it's a show I just watched recently. I heard a lot of hype about it. And when I saw that it was on Netflix, I figured, well, I really don't have an excuse anymore. So I decided to watch it. So let's get into it. So, first we're going to start by give a brief overview of the story, that I can talk about the goods and bads and get my final rating, yada yada yada, you know the jazz at this point. So, the first thing we're going to talk about, like I said, the story. We're going to do a brief plot overview. So, the story is about Violet Evergarden. I didn't realize it was a name when I first started watching it. So our story is about Violet, and she's taken in by the Evergarden family. She was a soldier in the war, and now she becomes this auto-memory doll. She's sort of like a person who writes letters for people, and they come to her, they say what they want, and then she types it. Although because she was in the military, her letters read more like battle reports and mission statements rather than letters, which causes her a bit of a problem. She learns to grow as the story goes on, and you know, that's about it. It was a really good show. I think it was honestly probably one of the better shows I've seen recently. I haven't seen very many spectacular shows recently, but I also have been watching a lot of anime recently. Let's start with like the discussion and the breakdown of everything. Visually, the show is really good. You can tell this is a Kyoto Annie animated series. You can really tell that it's really good. She moved so beautifully. The colors, the backgrounds are really good too. I thought her hands were really good, and when you watch the show, you'll see it. But I thought they animated them really good for scenes where she didn't have her gloves on. I thought that they did a really good job with her hands. Voice acting, the English dub's pretty good. I didn't watch it in Japanese. I'm not normally a Japanese watcher. I mean, occasionally I'll watch the show in Japanese. I watched this in English. The English dub was really good. I felt a lot of emotion in the actors' voices. It really, really was good. Story-wise, again, knocked it out of the park. Bit of an over-exaggeration on my part, to be honest. It was pretty good. It was above average. It was really above average. It was good. I'd say it was more like a great. It was more of a great. It was really good. It really sucks you in. Although the first 3 or 4 episodes, you can kind of get frustrated with her lack of emotion. But by that point, you'll then start to realize that that's kind of the point of the show. The point is the journey of her learning how to gain emotion and how to really feel, because she's never really had to do that before. So yeah, that's another really interesting point. The characters, Violet's like the only real big one. You get a few reoccurring characters here and there, but Violet is the main character. It's really rare that you see a show that has one main focus. She works at a place where she's an auto-memory doll, and so technically the other supporting characters are her boss, a guy whose name I don't remember, and 4 females whose names I don't remember. Because they were never really the focus of the show. The focus, I really like this. It's a good thing I want to commend it on. The focus of the show really stuck to its title. It's focused on Violet Evergarden. We found out a lot about Violet. There weren't like a huge the supporting cast didn't stand out because that really wasn't their job. Their job was to tell, hey Violet, here's what's starting and the running thing for this episode. And she goes, okay. And then we see how Violet deals with it. Although I guess I could see that as a negative because, like I said, none of the names were really like memorable, or no one else would. I remember there was a boy that I think had a thing for her. Another boy I think had a thing for her, but he was a one-off character and just like a throwaway episode. There was a girl who went to the auto-memory doll class with her, who had like a really troubled brother. And you had the Major, which was somebody, and the Major and his brother. And I guess they were moderately big characters. I don't know. His brother, I always thought he kind of rubbed me the wrong way for a lot of the show. And towards the end, they really tried to, save it for him. But it didn't quite work for me. The negatives, what I said about the good point can also be a bad point. That can kind of be the segue there. Is, yeah, the supporting characters were kind of boring and flat. None that really remembered, but Violet was so good, I thought that it really wasn't that big of a negative. It was like, yeah, I wish the supporting characters were better, but the show is about Violet Evergarden. And at the end of the day, it did that job leagues better than expected. 100%. So that was really good. Few more negatives. The pacing could have been a bit better. It did seem like there was a beginning, middle, and end, and then there was filler to get in between those. There was a beginning plot line. I think it was about a 13-episode series. So beginning, episode 1, episode 2 to 5, a little bit of story stuff here and there, but mostly filler until episode 6, where those little story bits then come back together in episode 6. Big thing happens. 7 to 12, little bits. Conclusion at episode 13. And that was kind of how the plot of the show was, which that might not necessarily be a bad thing, but it definitely does make those in between of the big parts really, really mundane, and it kind of does seem like it dragged on. I wish more of those, episode 2 through 5 and episode 6 to 12. I wish there was more importance to those shows. It wasn't like little bits in each one. It was like maybe episode 3 and 4 had something big, but episodes 2 and 5 were just more like fillery, or I just had little bits in it. And you know what I mean? Like, I wish the story was consistently spread out instead of 3 big points and then sprinkled in between. But it's only hard. That comes to my next point. Because it's sprinkled out story plots, it makes the beginning part where Violet is still learning to have emotion a kind of a drag to get through, because she's not a likable character at that point. Much later on, she becomes much more likable. But so it makes that beginning part like a huge slog to get through for some people, I can see. It was kind of for me, but about after episode 4 or 5, I really started to like her character. There's not too many bad things to say about this show. This was an overall a really good show. There were a lot of episodes where nothing happened, and we had episodes like Forgetful Girl that worked at the Auto Memory Bank went back to her hometown, but nobody liked her with her new fancy city job. There were episodes like that, but then there were episodes like where Violet was writing letters for a princess and prince. Or she goes out into the warfront. As a matter of fact, that warfront episode actually made me cry. It made me tear up, at least. Which not many anime can have that accomplishment. So that it really hit home, because it's really good at delivering emotion. This show was. So it was a phenomenal show. One that I can absolutely recommend to anybody, as long as you're a person who loves watching anime that have a rich story and don't mind a slow-paced, rich story, like if I can do some Shokeki no Kuni here, like very thick lasagna. There's layers, and you want to eat it slowly to savor every bite of your lasagna. I'm sure I could have found a better analogy for it, but I'm going to go with Violet Evergarden as a lasagna. You can fight me on that. Anyways, guys, if I have to give it a rating, to close out my closing thoughts, a rating from my A+ to F- scale, I'd have to give it a B+. It fell short in a lot of places, and the pacing could have been a lot better, but the character was great. The stories that she was involved in were great. And it was a really great show to watch if you were solely watching it just to see Violet Evergarden. But that's my review, guys. Tune in next time. I'm going to be doing a top 10 anime openings. Yeah, that'll kick off. I think I might start doing 2 anime reviews a week. Or a month, I think that's one at the beginning of the month, one at the end of the month. So this video should come up next Wednesday, and then you guys will receive one the following on first Wednesday of the month. You'll receive one on the first Wednesday of the month, the last Wednesday of the month. It's a lot less recording for me, gives me more time to do reviews. So, this has been the Anime Hero, guys. Catch you later.